very, very good morning to Talk TV host, Arsenal fan and friend of the breakfast show, Piers Morgan. Piers, a good morning. How are you?
Morning, Piers.
Well, you have correctly identified my mood state this morning, which is extremely happy, even if I've got a bad cold and sound like Barry White. So, good morning, chaps.
Good morning. Well, the first thing I was going to ask you, Piers, before we go into all things Arsenal, I thought in the current state of play you would be very magnanimous and offer Spurs a congratulations on sitting top of the table.
You know what? Here's the thing about Spurs. Even their own fans know they always choke. It's just a question of when. Right? They haven't. Just to remind Spurs fans, they haven't won the league in my lifetime, and I'm not a spring chicken. Yeah. All right, so I don't worry about them. What I do worry about is Man City fans. I've noticed Noel Gallagher's not available for your show this morning. He's gone very, very quiet, and it was I think ultimately this was a great day for Mikel Arteta. Yeah. You know, I actually think your apprentice becoming the master thing was very apposite. I think that Arteta has really worked incredibly hard. And actually, when I heard some of the Arsenal fans and some of those early thrashings, I was one of those people. I didn't think that Arteta was going to make it. I thought the first two seasons were very disappointing. And yesterday, I watched us go toe-to-toe with arguably the best team in the world. We nullified Haaland completely. He barely got a kick. I thought we defended magnificently yesterday. I think we've still got issues. I think I'm not convinced by Raya in goal. I think he was very jittery for much of the game.
Yeah, first half in particular.
I don't think he's an upgrade on what I've seen so far on Ramsdale, who must be feeling sick as a pig sitting there on the bench every day watching this stuff. And I think we still need a top striker, and I hope that we do something about that in January. But if we get in the market in January and we sign a top striker, then I think we are going to win the league.
Piers, I want to ask you, mate, we were talking, Andy and I have been talking all morning about it, and clearly it's a big 3 points, massive 3 points. But is there something that could potentially be more than the 3 points? And by that I mean a psychological effect. Obviously, the first time beating City in 13 or 14 games, whatever it may be, but also the effect mentally it will have on the Arsenal players to finally get the 3 points. And does it put a little bit of Sierra doubt in the City boys?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I've been saying actually all season that I think this City squad is weaker than last year's. They lost very good players, right? And if you take Rodri and De Bruyne out of this team, they seem to lose all their creative spark. So I think that Haaland didn't get any service yesterday. And, you know, I watched the Wolves game, the way that they basically man-marked Haaland out of the game. And I remember thinking, and we're talking to my sons about it, all mad gooners, and I was, you know, if we put Saliba onto Haaland in our game, I think you can nullify him. That's exactly what happened. Saliba is, you know, he is a world-class defender. I actually agree with Gary Neville. Words I rarely use, but I agree with Gary Neville when he said that if Gabriel and Saliba and Rice, it was also magnificent yesterday, if they stay fit for the majority of this season, I think we have the best defence in the country. I think that Rice patrolling in front of those two makes us an impregnable team at the back. I do worry about the goalkeeper, and I'm very interested to see what Arteta does, because he's dug himself into this hole now of saying, you know, Reyes is number one effectively, but I'm not feeling it. I'm sorry. He looked a nervous wreck yesterday.
What about also, Piers, up front? You know, playing Gabby Jesus can do a job for the team down the right side. Have you got to get him back up the middle?
You know, the thing about Jesus, I've been saying this since he joined us, he's got a fantastic work ethic, as has Nketiah. The both of them run around, they're fantastically hardworking. I've got nothing against either of them personally. I just don't think that either of them is the kind of lethal, predatory striker that we need if we want to win the league. And I think that we've got to get in that market in January, and we've got to buy someone. Now, whether it's Ivan Toney or whether we go really big and try and get someone like Oldman, who's obviously unhappy at Napoli, I don't know what it is, but I just feel that's the missing cog in this wheel. Declan Rice, we spent £105 million, and we have signed a magnificent player who's come in and immediately made a huge impact. Fans love him. We all love him because he's a kind of cross between Tony Adams and Vieira. He's got that kind of heartbeat of Adams, of a good London boy, and then you've got the Vieira magic when he runs forward and stuff. And I think he's a brilliant signing. So let's go and do it again up front. I just don't think Jesus or Nketiah, and I have huge respect for both of them, I don't think they are going to be ever 25, 30 goals a season people. And I think if we want to be serious, and not just about the Premier League, but Champions League, we've got to get the checkbook out and buy somebody big.
Piers, tell me, obviously 1 or 2 changes in personnel at Arsenal over the recent months, but for me, one of the biggest changes actually is off the pitch. Is the atmosphere and the feeling within the stadium. I think there's a real change in that. I think the attitude of the fans is now completely different and are clearly loving what they're seeing.
No question. And I think that was what was clear actually towards the end of the Amazon doc. That's when I changed my mind about Arteta. You know, when you watch that Amazon series, the sort of first 3 or 4 episodes, you're like, this guy's completely out of his depth. You could see with the whole thing with Aubameyang had no respect for the stuff that he was doing. And I felt that it was not going to work. And then as it went on, you saw, A, his relationship with the younger players. They absolutely loved him. B, you saw Arteta behind the scenes and how passionate he was and how, I think, intelligent he is tactically. And C, you saw the fans just beginning to absolutely fall back in love with the team again after many, many years of the Wenger years, which were so divisive and split the fans in two. You know, most fans, I think, look back and think, well, yeah, Wenger should have really moved aside many years before he did. And it was kind of, we were in the doldrums for many, many years. Now, the atmosphere, not just at the Emirates, but the away fans. I mean, if you listen to the noise they're making now when they go away, we have become a unified force, which I've not seen Arsenal fans this unified in a very, very long time. I would say go back to the Wenger first 8 years, and it's that feeling again. Now, we've got to win something. Right, Arteta has to win something. But I think, like I say, I don't want to be boring about this, but I think he should stick Ramsdale back in goal and get a striker in January. And then I genuinely believe we can compete with anybody in the world.
Yep. Piers, interesting. And by the way, you've rattled, Piers, all the Spurs fans here, because already the text, and they're jumping at me out from the screen in front of me. And actually, someone's just texted one in about they wouldn't swap Romero and Van der Ven for Saliba and Gabriel. What about that?
Well, it just shows you how completely deluded Spurs fans are, doesn't it? I mean, look, my heart goes out to them because with Spurs fans, it's always the hope that kills. And like I say, I'm 58 years old. 58 years old. You know, I was basically born around the time of the lunar landings, right? And they haven't won the league in my lifetime. And they're not going to win it this time. I would say I actually thought Spurs, to be fair to them, when they came to the Emirates recently, they looked better than they have done for a while. But it will be the hope that kills. Come back to me around mid-December. They'll be fourth. They'll be fourth, heading out of the top 4. The hearts will be sinking. The players will be falling out. We'll probably sign Son in January, and that'll be it. And it'll be the Sol Campbell all over again. And you know what happened when we signed Sol Campbell? Invincible time, baby.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.